I am a voice teacher and a session singer. I moved to LA to get into the session business, so I do half and half. I do half session singing, which is basically singing voices for film and TV, and then teaching voice students the other half of the time. I'm from Mississippi, small town called Yazoo City, out in the country. I've been in LA since '92. I moved out here '92 to go to college. So when I moved to LA, the whole goal was to get into the session business. I started teaching voice, honestly, just because I needed work. But when I started teaching, I didn't really even know what I was doing at the time. I just did it because people said, why don't you teach? And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I put an ad on the bulletin board at Santa Monica College, and it was back in the day where you would put a little piece of paper down with the phone numbers on it and rip it off. And I have my first student from there who's actually still studying with me today, like 28 years later. Then in my early 30s, I got into the session business where I was hired by this lady to do my first film, which is Behind Enemy Lines. And from there, I met all the people that I work with today, doing like TV commercials, film and TV, music videos. I have studied, and as I mentioned earlier, I've like going back to school because I knew how important it was, because you're dealing with somebody's voice, which is not only their voice in a physical sense, but the way they share their life through music. And I know that it affects how they, it affects their career, it affects their family, it affects them being able to pay their mortgage, especially when they depend on it. So I went and got certified so that we had to really know how the voice works, what all the parts are. If somebody comes in with a medical problem, I could work with that and know that I was doing the right thing. I later started working with a few doctors in town so that we could work together with students and they could heal, and I could offer like a safe place for them to come and work through their medical issues and then gain their voice back.
Yeah, sing with me, sing for the years, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears, sing with me.
When I came to Gerald, I was a repeat vocal abuser, and meaning I had at that point several vocal injuries that I had sustained in my career, from nodes to multiple hemorrhages, and it was Gerald that really rehabilitated my voice.
So that's kind of how that happened, through not really an accident, but through having a student who came in with medical problems, and that's what encouraged me to go back to school. More, make it narrow,
Okay.
and then widen into it. More.
More. Okay.
Memories creep more.
I think the number one thing that people can expect from my lesson is a safe place. A safe place to study, a safe place to sing, to discover themselves. Some people come in and they're literally shaking, and they come from careers like, bankers or people that have been out on the road and stuff like that, but they come in to sing, and for some reason it puts them in a very vulnerable position, and it makes them really nervous. So I feel like I can offer a place for them to just feel comfortable, to relax, and discover what they want to learn with their voice. Of my singing classes are my sight singing classes. They're classes that I taught at the Screen Actors Guild, where singers would come in, all kinds of singers on the road, singers that were just hobbyists, actors who wanted to learn to read music. So the whole idea of the class is that people walk in, put the music in front of them, they've never seen it or heard it before, and they can just read it down without practice. So those have been the most fun, like big classes that I've taught, because we have to work together as a group. We have to sing together as a group. We play games, so that it gets them to basically learn a new language, which is music.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3.
I would say 15 years ago, several things happened at once. One thing was I worked on a project called Happy Feet. And at that session, Yolanda Adams was there, Patti LaBelle was there, singers were there. And it not only was it probably the most fun session that I've ever sung with a big group of people, but it was a session where I left, I got in the car, I went home, and because in the movie Happy Feet, there's the penguin who doesn't have a voice, and penguins communicate by their voices. And the one penguin didn't have a voice, and he had to search for what was his gift, which was his feet and dancing. And I remember on the way home starting to cry, thinking, have I made what I wanted to do? And I realized that day I had really gotten to where I wanted to be. I always dreamed about this journey because I was a little kid and I would listen to the TV and I would hear the music on the TV shows, like theme songs, like Happy Days, TV commercials, and I would sing along with it. And my mom knew that I was interested in that, even though I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it was called. But I used to tell my mom, I want to do that. I want to sing those kinds of jobs, which later I learned was in Los Angeles, which is why I came here. But I always dreamed it. I always knew that somehow I would get into this. It took much longer than I thought, but I got here, so it's nice. It was an easy process putting the studio together. It was a hard process of trying to build the clientele, but what I realized over time was if I can make one person succeed, then that person will tell another person. And if I can make them really happy with their results, then each person tells another person, and so the studio built upon referral, people telling each other. The whole thing about ads and marketing and all that, to me that's the hard part, but that's not how it happened for me.
But I always thought that I was kind of a good singer and I kind of had a big ego, but I didn't really have any technical training. And I started singing on the background music of films with Jasper Randall. And he got me a couple of jobs and he was like, you basically need to be technically trained to keep on working here. Not here, but in this industry. So he recommended Gerald.
Wait, so same thing on those. Who'll get hurt? Who'll get hurt? Go to the R of the word.
Who'll get hurt? Oh.
Yeah, see?
And I think I was probably about 12 when that happened, and I went to Gerald and I just improved so much. At first, my voice I was kind of always screaming every note, but eventually I got to a place where I could actually have control over where I was in my voice, how I sounded, and my tone, and he's been a great help.
My studio, Music1on1, came about sort of as a combination of all the jobs that I do. Like teaching voice lessons. I got this studio many years ago to teach voice lessons, to teach master classes. Then that spilled over into my sight reading classes and also into the session work.
Is there any place I can show the world just where I'm at? What is my dream? What do I believe?
Some of the projects I worked on, one of the most fun was just recently. I worked with Mina Massoud, and who's the lead in Aladdin. So he came here for about 6 months and worked several days a week to work through all the parts for the movie, and to see him, to go to the movie and see him, in the movie, and that's somebody I've worked with, and you got to be a part of their success. is really exciting for me.
Yeah, since I started working with Gerald, I've been noticed like crazy difference. Like my level of singing, it grows like from, I would say like 300%. I sing 300% better than I was. You know, it's been 5 years singing with him, and I used to scream a lot. I used to tighten my neck a lot to get to the high notes.
If you're ready, like I'm ready.
So right there on da 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 da. What is that?
No.
Yeah. So when you get to the yeah, same thing earlier, student. Yeah.
Yeah.
But open up, really
Okay.
big.
Okay, no, open up, but okay.
No, right there. 1, 2, 3.
And say no. You say yeah. And we'll go. If you're ready, like I'm ready, you'll say I do.
Also, my range is being improving crazy, amazing. I think like two octaves higher, and now I can sing really high notes with no effort, and also, yeah, like I just sing and relax, and it's been crazy improvement since I've taken his lessons.
Oh baby, cásate conmigo, amor.
I remember when I was 14 or 13 or 14, you know how you're a kid and you're in the car and you're driving around with your friends and you're listening to music, and there was a band called Toto, and they were a big band at the time, and so I was singing along with these songs. So fast forward years later, the lead singer in the group, the writer of the group, comes in, sits down at my piano and starts playing Africa, dun 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 dun, and I had to like slap myself, because I felt like, wow, I used to listen to these guys as a kid, and now he's coming to me to ask, how do I sing this song that he sang years ago? So I get to work, it's like everything shifts to the other side. It's been very humbling and validating to work with artists, even like Whitney Houston and Aretha Franklin, and artists that I met later on in life but heard as kids growing up, and then get to sing on their albums when I got older. So that's been really cool. With Justin Timberlake, we got to do a music video with him, and so we went to a warehouse where they did the video shoot and sang as part of the video for his album. With Paul McCartney, I got to work with Paul McCartney on his album as well. This was about 2 years ago. With those artists, that is more in the session side of things, where I get to sing with them and sing on their projects. The other side of it is when I get to work with like Toto, who I mentioned, Mina Masood, Al Pacino. I got to work with Al Pacino in a movie that he had done, which is fun because you build relationships with people. At first, like with Al Pacino, I remember I watched his movies the night before so I could get to know just more about him, and I remember it scared me. I was like, oh, why did I watch that movie? So I went to the set the next day, met him, and would go to his house, and then you just realize that everybody's people just like everybody else, and you really get to grow with them and build a relationship, and then see their success and see somebody you've watched for years on TV and film. Now you get to give to them and be a part of the whole process.
Well, we are 2 out of the 5 of a group that we're in called On the Outside. It's a boy band, and we sing.
Yeah,
So-
my favorite part about Gerald is he doesn't really follow a certain structure that he goes about with every single client. He conforms to you, and he knows what you need, and he'll think right off the bat in his head like, oh, you need to do this, or we should try this approach. And it's just that flexibility is really helpful as a singer.
Super helpful, yeah.
Gerald is the best. Gerald has helped me unlock some things in my voice that I didn't know that I was close to achieving.
That's it. That's what I wanted. Good.
All the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using mine.
It's very validating to see all the projects I've worked on. I have them listed in my room, and I have to tell you, the way that happened was my mom, you know, when you call your mom's always like your biggest fan, and she would ask me on the phone, what have you been working on? And I would always tell her whatever my latest project was. And I didn't know while I was telling her that she was collecting the project, the DVDs of the projects. So some of the projects I've worked on are like one movie would be Avatar, TV would be Glee, video game World of Warcraft, and then some other ones are X-Men, Frozen, the Academy Awards, Mulan, Happy Feet, Matrix, and La La Land. A few artists that I've sung with, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jimmy Rodriguez, who made it on The Voice, or La Voz, John Clausen, Val Kilmer, Chris Mann, Diego Luna, Joseph Williams from Toto, Jason Sheff from Chicago. So yeah, I'm very thankful. I feel very blessed. It's you know, because everybody goes through those up and down stages. Even just like this past year, it's been hard for everybody in all walks of life. As an artist, you're only as good as that day that you're in. Nothing's guaranteed. You could be famous today, or you can be successful today, and tomorrow you just don't know what's going to happen. I think the new generation of singers need to focus on making it a sole effort in their presentation and not worry about how high they can sing, how loud they can sing, all the acrobats that they do with their voices, but can they touch the heart of the person that they're singing to? Whether it's just you and me in a room or for 10,000 people at at a stadium. They have to reach out and touch the person's heart. Obviously have talent, but talent, you can be the best singer on the planet and not really be that successful because you don't have all the other pieces to the puzzle.